I'm going to show you how to make a mouse pincushion with some easy steps to follow along. You don't have to be good at sewing to make these, they're very easy, and if you use a sewing machine rather than sewing by hand, you can whip one up in about 15 minutes. Start by drawing out the pattern. Draw around a dessert spoon in the centre of a piece of lined paper. And then take a teaspoon, and just to the right of the dessert spoon, draw your bottom leg. Add a line up the centre of the leg, and then draw around the teaspoon again to make the arm. Fold the paper in half, and cut around the outline. Open the paper out, and that's your finished pattern. You can use most kinds of fabric to make this. This one is a stretchy knit. Lay the two pieces of fabric together, right sides facing. Draw around the pattern, and this marks out the lines you are going to sew on. Sew all the way around the pattern, but leave a little gap between the legs so you can stuff the mouse and add the tail. A Sharpie pen won't bleed through this thick fabric, but if I was using a paler cotton fabric, I'd probably pin the paper pattern to the fabric and then just sew around the edge of the paper. Cut around your sewing, leaving 1/4 inch or a 1/2 centimetre border. And then snip into all the corners and curves so that your fabric doesn't pucker when you turn it inside out. Pushing through the head, turn the mouse inside out through the little gap you left behind. Stuff the mouse well. I'm using some polyester toy stuffing, but you could use snipped up fabric or wool scraps. Your mouse will look pretty basic at this point, but we will bring it to life in a little bit. To make the tail, use a piece of cord or leather thong and tie a knot in one end. Poke this knot through the mousy bum hole and sew it closed. You have to sort of mould the mouse around a bit, so squish and squeeze it to make sure that the stuffing goes into all the arms and legs. And then fold it in your hands into a sitting position, and that way you can see where the arms and the legs will need to be held against the tummy. Secure your thread with a couple of little stitches. And then using any kind of stitch you want really, sew the arm in place. You can make adjustments as you sew and come back and adjust things, so don't worry about being too exact or neat. Squish the mouse's head up and sew into place along the base of the neck. Then sew the back legs to the tummy and onto the front legs as well, so that the mouse can sit down. Now it's time to make the ears. Draw around your teaspoon and make a small oval shaped pattern. Cut around the pattern and use it to cut out 2 ovals from your fabric. Fold each oval in half and with the right sides facing, sew around the curved edge but leave a small little gap right at the end. Use this gap to turn the ear inside out and then tuck the raw edges in a little bit with your thumb. Sew the ear closed and make the other ear the same way. Once you have 2 semicircle shaped ears, fold each ear in half again and sew those 2 straight edges together. Hold the ear in place on the head with your fingers or a pin and then stitch them into place. You can see I'm not very neat with any of these stitches. I use the needle and thread a little bit more like glue to stick the ear to the mouse's face. Once the ears are in place, your mouse is almost ready. Just take a couple of bobblehead pins and poke them into place to make the eyes. And your little mouse is finished. You can experiment using different sized spoons to make each mouse unique, or you could just reuse your patterns over and over again to make an army of mouse pincushions. I hope you enjoy making your own, and please subscribe to Gluetube Craft for more original making ideas.